I mean, they can handle a gentle price rise, but if gold suddenly took off, I mean, this would be, it would just raise so many questions. Not only that, but it would probably break the bullion banks.
So gold is really starting to have a more significant role in the monetary side of things again.
Yeah, I mean, by almost by default. I mean, it's in there in the background, and the way I would look at it is really, I mean, the way we all look at gold. I mean, we have gold coins. Well, some of us do. Those of us that do aren't about to run out to the shops and spend it. I mean, even though it's legal tender, we're not going to do that, are we? We're going to spend the rubbish first. I mean, this is Gresham's law. We spend the paper stuff first. And we hang on to the gold. And this is actually what Russia, China, and all the other countries around the Eurasian continent will be doing.
You think there's going to be a race for gold with central banks in the West?
Well, I think we've got the makings of an enormous squeeze on the system, which nobody wants to see. I mean, nobody, you and I, if you've got physical gold, would probably say serves them right. But the establishment, if you like, governments and the major banks and all the rest of it, they don't want to see the gold price rising. I mean, they can handle a gentle price rise, but if gold suddenly took off, I mean, this would be, it would just raise so many questions. Not only that, but it would probably break the bullion banks as well, because they're short. I mean, it's as simple as that. And there isn't the liquidity for them to cover. The only cover they get is they go in and say, right, we'll put us, a backstop on our position. Like we will go and we will buy an out of the money option, which we can exercise if, say, the price goes over 2,100. Okay, so and you will find someone who's prepared to quote an option rate to sell to a bullion bank for a call with a strike of 2,100. I mean, but the whole system depends on the derivative markets not failing. And so that is something which we should also consider, because once gold really gets going, and it's not so much gold rising, it's paper currencies, fiat currencies in the West falling. That's really the key point. Under those circumstances, then there could be a major crisis developing in precious metals markets, because, I mean, China and Russia and all the rest of them more or less corner the physical market. We've just got paper, and that paper is pretty much valueless, really, when things get unstable.
Winter is coming up, or it's going to be coming up in Europe. Do you think the countries in Europe will stick together, united, or do you think we'll start to see some cracks where some countries may give in to Russia's demands for energy?
Well, I think they'll give in because you've got two big problems coming up. One is obviously the energy situation. Now, as we move into spring and into summer, then some demand for energy is going to diminish, obviously heating and so on and so forth, but other demand is going to pick up. And so you'll find that on a net basis, there won't be too much of a drop in demand for energy in Europe. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that food prices are beginning to rise. And Ukraine, and also that part of Russia that abuts onto it, is the breadbasket of Europe. And and not only that, but they are major producers of fertilizers, which are energy intensive to produce. So we've got a real perfect storm coming up when it comes to food prices. The reason I mention this is that if ever you have social instability, it's driven by a combination of unaffordable energy and unaffordable food. So if they continue on this path of saying we're not going to deal with Russia at all, we're not going to buy any energy from them or whatsoever, then they're storing up huge, great problems, social problems, political problems, instability. I can see riots in Europe, and the position around the world is even worse because think of people in Africa, for example, sub-Saharan Africa. I mean, you're going to get genuine starvation. This is not good. So I can't. I mean, I can see at the moment the politicians are united, generally united. There are a few like Viktor Orban in Hungary, who's actually quite happy to acquire the rubles to acquire the energy. But he's a bit of a maverick in this sense. The Germans are in a very difficult position. They really are. I mean, and I think sort of what Putin is really trying to do is he's trying to drive a wedge between Europe and America. It's America who's telling everybody, you mustn't buy any energy out of, because you're part of NATO and all the rest of it. We've got to have a united front and all this sort of stuff. But actually, really what Putin is trying to achieve, I think, with his his attack on Ukraine as well, is to drive America out of Europe. That's really what he wants to see. So get back to the point you were raising about whether Europe will go along with the sort of the complete ban on energy and so on. We'll have to see, but it's going to be very, very difficult for them to do so. And so I think that the political tensions are going to rack up hugely against the existing leadership and against Brussels in particular. So, and remember, we've also got the French general election in I think it's over the weekend. Now, the story is that Brussels plans to introduce a complete ban on importation of Russian energy after that election result is known. They're assuming that Macron will come in. Now, the reason they're not doing it before is that it would definitely destabilize Macron's campaign, and you would end up with with this right-wing lady who for years and years and years and years has been seen as so ultra-right-wing and all the rest of it. This is not something that socialist Europe wants to see. So you can see that there could well be this plan from Brussels to wait until after that election. So next week they will say complete ban on any Russian energy, and then the riots in the street are going to start sometime thereafter.